So let's talk about Clubhouse, which is how we met. You know, we used to talk about credit, debt-free, stuff like that. I remember you said something about your account getting shut down. You made a new account. Are you coming back to Clubhouse? Can we get into that? Are you going to be dropping some credit gems?
I actually participated in the room the other day, and they were talking about the socioeconomic status of Black people and what can we do to help. So I am getting back active on Clubhouse. I'm getting on there. It's just not under the same profile. My new page is the same as my Instagram name. Well, my old page, I changed the name to my Instagram name. My new page is the Markia B. So THEE Markia B. I had to think about it. That's my new Clubhouse name. I got access to my old club and I'm a member. So I'm thinking in the new year, I'll start bringing back the weekly rooms and kind of focus in one social media account at a time. Hopefully I get my TikTok back, but.
Speaking of that, so I like to consider myself someone that asks, you know, a lot of questions. You know, some people might say I might instigate in certain situations, but let's talk about the TikTok ban real quick.
When I tell you it just happened, like, yo, this is an exclusive too. Like, let's talk about it, bro. Because I'm still hot. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. Underneath this cool, calm facade, I ain't gonna act a jerk. I ain't gonna act a butt on your platform. But man, I'm heated. I'm heated. So earlier today, TikTok Media posted a video. They have about 76,000 followers on their YouTube page. And they posted a compilation video of people who used a particular sound. And the sound was, what is one hill that you die on 1,000%? And in the video, I said that Black people should not listen to Dave Ramsey. And I went on and I used the unique Black experience of being in poverty as an example of something that he does not address in his financial teachings. Of course, it went crazy when I first posted it, but after this video, my mentions blew up. Like, it was people supporting me and saying that they've been saying it for years and they're so glad that somebody with a platform said it, to people telling me that I'm an idiot. Somebody said that I said that all Black people was broke. A lot of people assumed that only Black people could be poor based off of what I said, and when it wasn't what I said at all. But I feel like, and I'm gonna be honest, a hit dog will holler every time. People were so offended by that first line and by the fact that I had the audacity to come for Dave Ramsey, that they attacked me in the comments. It was a lot. I had got a lot of vitriol, you know, tied to that post. And so I started blocking people, and I was blocking people left and right, did not care. And then a couple minutes ago, I went to pull up my TikTok because I was joking around and I was going to post another video, and it was like, you have been permanently banned. So that's kind of where we are now. I had over 140,000 followers. I had just got added to the Black TikTok community. So I reached out to them, and, you know, hopefully they're going to do something, because I've never had any community violations. I've never had any of my videos taken down that I did not win the appeal. So, you know, I'm going to cross my fingers. So I never had no issue. So I'm going to be back, and I'm definitely not going to stop. I'm going to double down on what I said, because I meant every word of it.
Everybody put some praying emojis for Markia in the comments. You know, hopefully they allow you to come back. So I know you said you have 5 kids, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you have 5 kids. So part of why I do what I'm doing with CA tactics and everything is because I felt like I started learning about the information about credit and stuff like that late. When do you feel is the earliest time you should start teaching your kids about credit?
I tell people all the time, because, you know, I homeschool my kids. And when it comes to teaching your children, a lot of people think that it's a classroom setting. But when you're a parent, everything is a teachable moment. Literally every moment is a teachable moment. And so I kind of incorporated a little bit in everything my kids do. My kids earn screen time. So the more stuff you do, the more screen time you get. Now, let's say you're out of screen time, but you really want to watch something, or you're in the middle of something and you really want to finish. I'll let you have that screen time, but you owe me double. I'm teaching you interest. I'm teaching you, you don't have it and you want it from me, so I'm going to give it to you, but you got to pay me for it. I also teach them responsibility of doing things on time and sticking to your agreements, because that's typically what paying your bills is. Paying your bills is just sticking to a contract, sticking to an agreement that you made. I'm kind of standing on your word. So that's another way you can kind of incorporate it in your teachings, and just teaching your children the value of money. A lot of people teach their kids that you got to have money, but not a lot of people teach their children the value in it. And all of the things that money can get you, because money can help you build credit. And if you can manage your money, then you can manage your credit. So, you know, allowances and earning money around the home and things like that. Those are all things that can help your child really understand finances just in general.
Was there a certain age that you decided? How old are like all your kids?
So all of my kids are different ages. Let's see. Right now I have a 9, 8, 6, 3, and a 1-year-old. And I homeschool all of them. So they kind of all learn the same lesson, kind of at the same time. They all interpret it differently though. So one of my kids, she's a book learner. So, you know, we'll read books and stuff together. Another kid, she's a visual learner. So we do things so that she kind of gets that message. So it's really just about appealing to the, that's kind of where the whole idea of TikTok came from, right? So it's like, I'm appealing to my children and teaching them in the way that they learn and not trying to force them to kind of assimilate to how I'm trying to teach. You got to think of it like love languages. Everybody, when you love somebody in their love language, they're more receptive, they're more understanding. So when I love my followers in the love language that they need on TikTok and on Twitter and on Twitch and things like that, they are easily receiving that information that I have to give.
Okay. And you said it's like similar messages. So do you pull up on your 1-year-old like 35% came in history?
No. My 1-year-old, it's like he got fruit snacks and he's all out and he wants some more, but if you get this, then you don't get nothing later. And he might not understand it right this second, but the more we repeat that behavior, the more he'll see, all right, if I ask for another one and I don't get one later, you know what? I don't need it right now and I ain't even gonna worry about it. You see what I'm saying? So it's little stuff. It don't have to be like whole life-changing lessons. It's just little stuff.
Okay. Let's say I had like a 400 credit score. What kind of advice would you have for me? Let's say maybe someone in here has that, they're in that situation. What piece of advice would you have for them?
Bad credit doesn't make you a bad person. I hate when I do these audits with people and they are just embarrassed. But they'll be like, all right, don't laugh. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe I'm showing you this. Like, don't be embarrassed. Do not be embarrassed. And I feel like that embarrassment forces people to hide it. And by not acknowledging the issue, it's going to continue to be a problem. That's kind of how that perpetuates and it gets that bad. The first thing you want to do is take accountability. You want to say, you know, I did this, I messed up, and now I'm going to fix it. You got to look at it like that. Once you give yourself that power back, I really feel like that's half the battle. But so many people just are too ashamed to even look or even acknowledge what's going on.
Okay. So would you recommend that everybody go to therapy, or is it kind of situational? How do you feel about it?
It's definitely situational because not everybody believes in therapy. Not everybody feels as though they need a therapist, but you just need somebody to talk to, somebody to really unpack the behaviors and the feelings that you have that are tied to your finances, because your feelings dictate how you move. My feelings dictate my facial expressions, and you can see how I feel way before I say something. So it's just like, if you can just have somebody to talk to that somebody who's going to keep you kind of on that path, that's fine as well. You don't have to go to therapy, but everybody needs to know what's reporting on their credit report at all times. That's something that applies to everybody, whether you got good credit or bad credit.
Do you feel like everybody should try to repair it themselves, or you feel like people should go to hire someone? How you feel about that?
I honestly try to get people to fix it themselves first. Like I offer something called a credit audit. And so whenever people who are like on like the precipice, they're not sure if they want to hire somebody or if they should hire somebody or if they even have that credit, we sit and talk about it, right? We scrub their entire credit report and I give them my professional opinions, right? And so when I'm talking to them during these appointments, I'm talking to them as if they're fixing it themselves. Because just because you have this appointment with me doesn't mean you got to be my client. You could easily go somewhere else. But I want, by me saying you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and them hearing it, they'll internalize it. And this is, I am going to do this in their head. I am going to do that. I am going to be this. And I'm real big on affirmations and the power in words and in thoughts. And so by speaking to them that way and them internalize it, a lot of them turn around and do it themselves. And I feel like they appreciate it more because they put in that sweat equity to really make it happen. Now, that's not to say that people who hired me didn't make it happen, because it is a team thing. But I really push doing it yourself on people because I feel like they appreciate it more.
Okay. All right, I got like a serious question for you. Would you rather have an 850 or a dinner with Jay-Z?
Okay. Oh, I almost listen. Look, you know me in my mouth, okay? I want that credit score. I don't care about Jay-Z. Because then after that dinner, I'm going to still be broke. I'm not.
Oh, man.
No, sir.
Okay. So we know the different data points I think we talked about earlier. If I post it, people can watch the replay. We know payment history. We know, inquiries, different things like that. If there was a certain data point from your credit that you had to have go back to being bad and rebuild, what part would it be?
Credit card utilization, because it's the easiest to manipulate. People be like, oh, what's the fastest way for me to get points? Your credit card utilization. And a lot of people don't know that. Literally paying your balance down will raise your credit score. Might not be 100 points if that's not your biggest pain point, but raising your credit score is easy when it comes to that particular section. And it's a lot of points stuck in that section too. A lot of people don't realize that the more cards you have, the less a high balance on one card will affect you, but it don't mean you need 22 daggone credit cards either. I've seen people hold up giant stacks like this deep of credit cards. You don't need all that. You just need enough cards to where you'll actually be using them, because using them is important. You need enough cards that you're actually going to be using them and that you can actually manage them. If you do not have the income to support having all those credit cards, then don't apply for them.
Okay, got it. So what percentage is composed of credit card utilization, like a
30%. 30% of your credit score is credit card utilization. And that's why I tell people that credit cards are extremely valuable. And you'll see people be like, I don't even have a credit card. Like, you're bugging. Because a credit card can technically affect 65% of your credit score every single month, because that's on-time payment history and credit card utilization. That's a lot of points. That's over half of your credit score just controlled by credit cards alone. So if you have bad credit and you don't have any credit cards, this is your sign. Jesus sent me to tell you, go ahead and get a credit card.
Oh, speaking on that, can we talk about due date, closing date, and reporting date? Because some people get confused. Yeah, let's elaborate on that.
So when you get a credit card, there are 2 dates that you really need to know: the statement closing date and then the due date. Your billing cycle usually ends on the statement date. So they bill you all the way up, it's usually 30 days, until this one particular day. On that day, that's when they go to the credit bureaus and tell them exactly how much of your credit limit you're actually using. So I always tell people, if you want to manipulate your credit score, you can spend as much as you want during that billing cycle, but at least 5 business days before the end of your statement date, right? The end of your billing cycle is called a statement date. So 5 days before that, you'll want to make a payment. And you obviously want to pay more than the minimum payment, because then once the interest hits, it's going to kill you. But you're going to want to pay it all the way down to less than 10% before your statement date. That way, when they do go report you to the credit bureaus, they're reporting a low balance. I always tell people don't pay their credit cards off, because that's a way to kind of maintain a mutually beneficial relationship between them and their credit card lender. Because for those of you who don't have the best credit, you want a really good relationship with your lender, because they'll make certain concessions for you that other businesses won't. Because they have that relationship with you, you're more likely to get credit limit increases, graduate to new cards and things like that, even though you don't meet all of the requirements.
How do you recommend people go approach credit limit increases?
I always say you want to make sure that your credit score is significantly higher than what it was when you first got the account. So if you remember roughly where you were when you first got your card and when you first applied, then you'll know, okay, I'm going to wait until I go up at least like 30, 40, maybe 50 points, depending on what your score is sitting at.
So let's say I got a Discover It credit card when I was a 700, and then I'm running it up. I go down to 600. You wouldn't recommend requesting a credit limit increase at that time? Okay.
And then you also have to be very careful, because I know Community Bank is famous for it. So the Victoria's Secret cards and stuff like that. If you pull your credit report, you'll see a section called soft inquiries. Now, they don't count against your credit score or your credit profile, but soft inquiries shows you which one of your lenders are doing soft pulls. And you'll notice Capital One and Community Bank might be in there a lot if you have these cards. And that's because they constantly monitor your credit score. And if your credit score drops significantly, then they will drop your credit limit and or close your account. And they have every right to do that, because that's a part of the contract that you signed.
Do you have any maybe credit cards or banks off the top of your head for people that's like just getting started?
Credit unions off the top of my head. And it doesn't have to be Navy Federal Credit Union. I hate that a lot of you are committing fraud to be a part of this bank when it's not that special. Like, any credit union can give you guys these benefits. A credit union is always best because they tend to be, you know, a little more lax on their requirements. And it's easier to maintain a relationship with them as opposed to like a Wells Fargo and a Bank of America. You're just a number, honestly. They don't care about you. They can easily tell you no and keep it moving. So credit unions is definitely key, right? That's definitely going to be key for anybody building their credit. And then the credit builder loan and the secured credit card is probably the least known gem. Like even when you don't have any credit, apply for the self credit builder loan, and you're going to be, as long as you're not going through an active bankruptcy, you qualify.
Can we talk about how self works for anybody that might not know?
So the credit builder loan is really cool because you pay into it every month, and it reports to your credit as if you're paying back a loan. But actually, at the end of the term length, and you select how much you pay every month and how long you want to pay. But at the end of the term length, you get all that money back. You've actually paid into a savings account. So it's kind of like a win-win. And then once you make at least 3 payments and have at least $100 paid into the program, they'll unlock the secured credit card. And so that gives you access to that. So people who normally would not have access to a secured credit card, Self has kind of been given that to them. Chime too. The Chime credit builder card is also a plus. A lot of people be laughing at people with Chime or thinking that means you broke, but Chime is definitely FDIC insured, and it's an amazing option for those of you who want a credit card but don't necessarily want to deal with the restrictions like a credit limit. And how it works is it works like a charge card. So you have to set up direct deposit. So you have to have a Chime checking account. And what it does is all the money that you get deposited into your account goes to this card. And so your credit limit is whatever you have on your card. So it's literally just like a debit card, but it reports as if it's a credit card. It does not help with utilization because it does not report utilization, but it helps for on-time payment history. So that's the big thing.
Okay, perfect. We're going to be wrapping up soon, but if you guys got any questions you could just leave them in the comments. I wanted to talk about any resources that you may have for the people. Let's say you're in their seat, they're trying to build their credit, they're trying to remove negative items. What kind of resources would you say that they should be looking at?
First, the FCRA, 1000%. You can Google it. It's in the Kindle store. Like, the FCRA is a very valuable tool. And in saying that, the FTC. So the Federal Trade Commission is one of the entities responsible for enforcing the FCRA and making sure that these companies are doing what they're supposed to do and reporting your information the way it's supposed to be reported. And so ftc.gov is a huge place. Like, I get all of my, when I do pop-up shops, I pass out flyers on like how to get debt collectors to stop calling you, how to manage your debt, budgeting, you know, things like that. And I get all of my resources from the FTC, straight from the horse's mouth. That way, can't nobody say Markia said nothing because the government said it. So ftc.gov is a free resource. They'll send you all of this information for free. And it's a very valuable resource.
Okay, perfect. We're going to be closing out in like 2 to 3 minutes. If anybody has any questions, comment them down below. If you want to come on live and ask your question, you know, send a request. But my next question, you were mentioning about calling and like debt and stuff. So we know the FDCPA, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, 15 USC 1692C, that talks about communication. Can we talk about communication with debt collectors? Because some people might not know about that.
So I always tell people I got a script that I give to my clients once they start working on their credit. Whenever a debt collector calls you, you never want to acknowledge who you are because you're actually going to be validating debt if you do so. So a lot of times they'll call you and be like, hey, is this Markia? Or hey, Markia. You don't want to be like, oh, hey, girl, who this? Like, none of that. When you answer the phone, you want to say hello. And they'll say, hey, is this Markia? And you'll say, any attempts to collect the debt needs to be done in writing. Please do not call this number anymore. And you hang up. Now, because of the FDCPA, once you tell them not to contact you at that number anymore, it is illegal for them to do so. If you get any more phone calls at that phone number from that collector, that's up to $1,000 per infraction. They also are only allowed to call you between 8 a.m. and I want to say 9 p.m., 5 p.m., 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., your time, not their time. So if you are in Tennessee and they are in California, don't matter. It has to be your time. And again, for every infraction of the FDCPA, you can sue them from up to $1,000 per infraction. And I've seen people do it loads of times. All you have to do is find a consumer credit lawyer, and they are available in your area. You just got to Google them. But you can get this money and not have to pay these people this debt.
Definitely. 15 USC 1692K. I put out the Consumer Credit Laws 101 document for y'all. It's free. CA Tactics LLC. Go ahead and grab that. Someone said I had a lot of loan options and I paid off almost all my credit cards. Then all my loan options disappeared even though my credit rose significantly. Why do you think the reason for that is? That's a question I have.
Because paying your credit cards all the way off, especially in bulk like that, is alarming to creditors because they make it look like, why are you paying all this stuff off? Are you about to close these accounts? Like, you know, what are you doing? It really looks kind of shaky because it's not according to your pattern. So that could be why, and it's temporary. If you paid off and then closed your accounts, that's even worse because now you got these closed off accounts. They're not adding to your credit report anymore. So now they're not as valuable as they once were. So it could be a couple of things, but like I said, you never want to close credit cards. You want to be very careful when dropping large amounts of money on credit card balances. I always tell people to kind of stagger it, do it in waves. Don't just pay it off all at once. You want to maximize the points that you get by paying things off. But that could be why. I didn't close them, but now I understand it may be that. Okay, so yeah, paying them off immediately like that is very shocking to your lenders. So give it a minute. And then, like I said, self-lender is a really good loan option because it's not really a loan. You're paying into a savings account. And they also, but self-lender only goes up to 24 months. If you're looking for something a little longer, there's an option called Credit Strong, which is run by Austin Capital Bank, which also funds self. So those are two options for you.
Yeah, definitely. Just to reiterate on the closing accounts, especially if that's your oldest credit card, you're messing up your payment history. So really, really be careful with that. Last question before we get out of here. First of all, I appreciate, you know, all the gems you done drop, you know, the credit crystals, this, that, and the third. The last thing I have for you, I just forgot now. Hold on. The last question. What was it? Oh, yeah. I like people that take action, right? Mm-hmm. I like people that execute. So what's one thing that you would recommend people do as a result of leaving a life?
Go to www.annualcreditreport.com and pull your credit. You got no excuse. It's 1,000% free. You don't even got to enter no credit card information. Pull your credit reports and highlight all of the derogatory items. If it looks bad or you see red anywhere on there, highlight it. Highlight it. Definitely. That's the first thing you need to do.
Definitely. Appreciate you.
And following him. He's gonna give you everything you need.
You gotta take action though. But yeah, definitely appreciate you. Appreciate all the gems. I'm gonna hit you when we get off here. But yeah, y'all have a blessed one.
Bye, y'all.